Great, so we're going to talk just a little bit about international franchising in the last video. It's something that I get asked about periodically. And the reason that you might consider taking a particular franchise international is because, for example, many US markets are just totally saturated, and there's just not room for you to open a location for like your favorite fast food, Wendy's or McDonald's or whatever. And globalization is something that's very much growing. Lots of things you need to consider. Get a lawyer who is familiar with franchise law in both your country and your host country, or at least get a team of lawyers together who can work, because anytime you do anything in international business, it's just more complicated, okay? But you also need to figure out how much training and support you receive from the franchisor, especially when you're in a foreign country. You know, where there's time zones. I mean, I have a lot of international co-authors, and we're not even talking about a franchise. We're talking about people who write papers together. An 8-hour time difference, you know what? They may not want to get up at midnight to sit and talk to you about your problems. They may not want to get up at 5 in the morning to sit and talk to you. I mean, this communication can make logistics a nightmare, okay? So consider that. You also have to remember what the name of your particular product represents in your host country and whether that's saleable in your host country, in the host country or not, right? And I always give the example of McDonald's. So when I was in high school, McDonald's wanted to open a location, I think it was in Avignon. And there was an activist named José Bové who protested McDonald's because he said that McDonald's was not buying enough products from local French farmers, right? Well, McDonald's opened the location anyhow despite José Bové's protest. So what they did is they took a dump truck full of apples, and I think they broke maybe one of the walls of the location down. They dumped the apples all over everything to let McDonald's corporate know that, you know, they were not welcome in this, I think it was Avignon. You know, those are the kinds of things that, you know, can really put a damper on your opening a new location. McDonald's in Iceland had a similar problem. All the supplies for the food had to come from Germany, and the cost of getting like onions and beef and all this other stuff all the way from Germany made McDonald's so expensive that nobody would go. Another fast food chain, I can't remember which one it was, had tried opening, I think in Russia for a number of years, and they weren't paying extortion fees and their locations kept getting burned down by the mob. I think this was like in the early 90s, right after the Soviet Union was falling. Other countries, they have issues with copyrights. You know, people go in and you open your chain, they steal your ideas, and they open the identical chain right next door. So there's a lot of things that you've got to remember. Your brand may represent something that is hostile to a foreign culture. You may not have the same kinds of laws that you have in the US. There's a lot to consider, and I recommend that you watch some of my videos on globalization or international business if you'd like to know more about that. Great. So this is our last video on franchising. I hope you enjoyed this particular introductory lecture to franchising, and I would invite you also to watch my 2 article lectures. We got one on Pizza Hut and Yum brands as they transition from Pepsi, and we've got one on Jack in the Box. I think you'll enjoy them both. Great, I'll see you next time. And please make sure you subscribe, like, subscribe, and comment if you have any questions. I'll see you next time.